Path of Exile 2 is finally upon us, brothers. And if you're wondering what all of the playable classes are and what general vibes they bring to the table, look no further. While most normal people spent their Thanksgiving doing pointless things like eating turkey or hugging loved ones, I spent my time taking in something much more valuable.
Knowledge.
Let's go through every class in the game in an attempt to help you figure out what class in PoE 2 you should main. Remember, there are only 6 classes available in early access, and the remaining 6 won't be available until full release. Anyway, here we go. Starting off, Witch. So, I heard you like minions. No, damn it, not those. I'm talking about having hordes of overworked, unpaid servants get their hands messy doing your dirty work while you sit back and reap all the benefits. Yes, the Witch is truly the Jeff Bezos class of PoE 2. While most classes apparently have access to some kind of minion, only the Witch can raise and control borderline armies of servants to play a never-ending game of protect the goth mommy. While standing back and letting your summoned goons lead the charge, you can feel free to harass enemies at range with various fun debuffs like Contagion. If a monster dies while under the effect of Contagion, it will spread to other nearby enemies. Each time it spreads, the damage will increase. Also, if any corpses are infected when you summon a minion from them, that minion will be infected and able to spread Contagion manually from physical hits. Are you often annoyed at the thought of needing to re-summon workers due to high turnover? Fear not, when minions die, they'll be revived automatically, so long as no other minions died recently. So before your next battle, all your minions will come back to life. Nice. Not only do your helpers not get any real vacation time, you can give them hyper-specific commands that they'll follow to the letter, like move to a certain location, target a specific enemy, or open a specific door for you, all while never complaining at all. Now you might be saying, hey Fallout, I like that the Witch is lazy, but I just don't feel like there's enough disrespecting the corpses of my fallen enemies going on here. Well, not so fast there, Chief, because we haven't talked about Bind Spectre Gems, which literally allow you to resurrect the bodies of specific enemies that you've killed in battle to fight for you as minions. This is expensive to do, but it's a small price to pay for the joy of never letting your enemies rest, physically or spiritually. In short, if the idea of putting your feet up and popping open a white claw while your small army of undead simps repeatedly give their lives to obey your every command sounds pretty good to you, you may enjoy playing a Witch. Next up, Warrior. Magic seems like a headache, and gracefully dodging in and out of combat opportunistically kinda sounds like a lot of fancy talk for being a pussy. Why overcomplicate things when all you need to do is hit your enemy really hard with a big weapon? The Warrior is your standard variety tank, fairly straightforward, designed to be able to both take punishment as well as dish it. You have the choice of either bashing enemies' brains in with a harder hitting two-handed weapon for more damage output, or instead wielding a one-handed weapon and carrying a shield in the other. When you have a shield, the Warrior has access to an active block ability to reduce incoming damage for a short period of time. And if you're thinking, wait, the Warrior just hits enemies really hard and that's it? Well, joke's on you, bro, because the Warrior can also hit the ground. That's right, attacks like Earthquake and Rolling Slam allow you to do some good old-fashioned ground pounding, dealing quality AoE damage. Perfect for when you're finding yourself maybe a little too surrounded. But of course, there's nothing wrong with focusing on one single enemy. Give them the old Bone Shatter where you dish out high single target damage, but be careful. When doing that, you take more damage yourself. Good thing you're built to take more punishment than my bathroom after a night of half-off burritos at Chipotle. In short, if you want to be a big hulking tank or enjoy the thought of grabbing a two-handed hammer and treating everything you come across as a nail, then the Warrior might be for you. Next up, Monk. There's nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty up close, but if you wished the Warrior had a little bit more flash and style, the Monk is a melee combatant that specializes in mobility over brute force. It's the classic float like a butterfly, sting like a bee type deal, except in this particular situation, the bee is armed with a bow staff and has the ability to dish out lightning, ice, and other random elemental damage for some reason. Yes, in true Avatar fashion, your Monk can channel the elements to their advantage. Attacks like Wind Blast allow you to knock back groups of tightly clustered enemies with a sharp blast of air. Ice Strike can straight up freeze enemies in place with multiple hits, and Falling Thunder lets you do an AoE attack that deals lightning damage. But it ain't just flashy AoE and elemental status effects. The Monk has power and speed.
Speed's the name of the game.
If you spec your Monk a certain way, you'll be able to cull enemies once they become weak enough. Much like choice targeting the slow, asthmatic kid in Dodgeball, you can zoom across the battlefield to insta-finish enemies with a killing palm strike if the game shows they are cullable. Doing that will allow you to build up charges, which you can spend to power up other attacks. Combined with attacks that literally let you twirl and flurry across across the battlefield, a good monk should be able to reposition and set themselves up for big attacks with no problem. In short, if you want to smack enemies at close range with an elemental quarterstaff, as well as twirl right out of enemy attacks like a coked up bloodlusted ballerina, then maybe the monk is for you. Next up, Ranger. So, you like the idea of ranged elemental boosted combat, but magic is for nerds. Well then you might want to consider the Ranger. But don't think of the Ranger as the type of guy to plant his feet down like tree roots and take forever to line up a perfect shot like Robin Hood in some kind of archery contest. You're actually highly mobile, backpedaling like you have eyes on the back of your damn head, all while pumping your enemies so full of arrows it makes what happened to Boromir look like just amateur acupuncture. Granted, while strafing around and arrowing, you will have a movement penalty of sorts, but you'll still be moving plenty quick. Not to mention that if you decide to shoot arrows from the back of a Roa, aka a mounted option in the game, that movement penalty goes away completely. And by the way, don't think of these as just regular basic ass arrows. Variety is the spice of life, and you have plenty of fun damage dealing ranged flavors up your sleeve, including AoE lightning elemental arrows, poison arrows for chip damage, and even mobility boosting tools like Frost Escape, where you'll go full on Spider-Man and backflip out of danger while also laying down a ranged attack on the way out. Definitely handy for situations where enemies might be closing the gap on you too effectively and you need to GTFO. Don't worry, it isn't all spammy, took too many caffeine pills, spastic gameplay. You have charge up skill shot options too, like the powerful snipe attack. If you want to embrace your inner Pamela Isley, the Ranger can also use things like Vine Arrow to tangle up your enemies in a little Mother Nature flavored BDSM, as well as Poison Bloom Arrow to litter the battlefield with poison traps that explode if enemies get too close. In short, if the idea of running around the battlefield like Legolas hopped up on bath salt while equipped with souped up multi-purpose magic arrows to trip up enemies sounds really fun to you, then yeah, you might want to check out the Ranger. Next up, Sorceress. So, you like the idea of using magic like a witch, but you don't want your summoned biatches to be the ones having all the fun. You'd rather dish out tons of ranged elemental destruction. Well, studies have proven that being a glass cannon does in fact suck. But new scientific breakthroughs confirm we can avoid this problem with a new and stunning tactic called Don't Get Hit. The Sorceress can practice not getting hit by using interesting defensive spell options like Arctic Armor to make enemies ask themselves questions like, why do I even bother? But of course, you can always engage in the best way of not getting hit, which is staying away from enemies and absolutely vaporizing them with a never-ending barrage of lightning and ice magic. These can be quick and spammable like the Arc attack, or slower to cast yet devastating like Comet. In short, if you enjoy the idea of absolutely blasting the bejesus out of every enemy before they ever get close to you with insane over-the-top elemental damage like an enraged Elsa, then the Sorceress might be for you. Next up, Mercenary. Look, I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all. I think the creators of PoE were sitting around in a dimly lit testing room while buzzed and went, wouldn't it be funny if you could just run around the game with a shotgun? And it was a joke at first, but then they just said screw it and ran with it because that's basically what the Mercenary is. Oh sure, it's a crossbow technically, but that's the only way they could make it work. Yeah, the Ranger is your classic Lord of the Rings flavored long-range arrow user, but the Mercenary's crossbow fires way differently. Shots come out instantly, they're extremely accurate, they can ricochet, and there's even fragmentation rounds, and come on, you can't tell me that isn't a shotgun. Unlike the Ranger, you have to worry about reloading your crossbow, and you also have the ability to lob explosive grenades. Yes, literal actual grenades at your enemy, which explode after a short timer. You can, of course, get different flavors of both your crossbow and grenades too, including permafrost bolts, aka shotgun blast that can freeze enemies, and flash grenades, aka grenades that can blind and stun enemies immediately. In short, if you like the idea of playing as a PoE version of the Punisher, armed to the teeth with gadgets and medieval firearms, yeah, check out the Mercenary. The next 6 classes are not playable in early access and won't be able for you to touch until the full release in 2025. Therefore, we don't have as much info on them right now. But I could give it a shot. What if I tried telling you about them in song? Well, if you like using spears, then you should check out Huntress. She can dash and poke and make her foes bleed badly. Or you can try out Druid. They can full on shapeshift and cast lots of fun and painful spells. Yeah, Templar is a holy knight while Duelist really likes to fight. Marauder is probably thick while Shadow mains are also edgy. Yeah, let's just save all that for when we have more info. Anyway, I'll be live streaming and grinding basically all weekend when early access drops, so feel free to swing on by and tell me what class you're excited to play. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.